Hey everybody, welcome in that new video tutorial which will show how to use Unreal Blueprint to compute and control the Golem public attribute values. So here I made a pretty simple setup within my scene. I created a grid within my pop tool of 25 characters, and in terms of behavior, I assigned them with a locomotion behavior for animation, navigation for avoidance strategy, and the go-to behavior set up to random targets into the environment. If we throw the simulation for a couple of frames, we'll see that each character compute a target here within the infinite environment and just try to reach it. So within Unreal, what I would like to do is control exactly where my characters go using some Unreal tools, and I want to use the blueprints for that. So the first thing is I'm going to expose my attributes I want to control within the blueprints. So the first thing, usually those attribute takes place into the go-to behavior, so I can filter by go-to behavior. And within the go-to behavior shape, I can see that I already made public two attributes, the target mode. Right now, the target mode is set to random target into the environment, so this is not exactly what we want. We will be able to, provide a specific target mode here. And also, I want to override the in target positions. So I'm going to apply that, and just to check regarding the go-to behavior. So 0 means random target, and 1 will mean target pop tool or target positions. So let's stick with this for now. Let's export this as a Golaem digital asset, so the scene will be serialized as a GDA file into a specific directory that we'll be able to reopen within Unreal. So let's jump into Unreal, and let's create a Golaem simulation node. Make sure that it's at 0, 0, 0, so your crowd are not going to be offset. And the Golaem digital asset we want to load is exactly the one we've been saving so far, and if I play the simulation, it reproduces exactly the same behavior that I have of Maya. I've got my characters picking a random target within the environment and reaching this position. Great. I can also see that now I also have my two public attributes being exposed, so let's open both of them. I've got the target mode, which has a value of 0, so this is my random target. And I've got my in target position, which doesn't have any elements, so this is the position which will be specified manually when you use the target pop tool, for example. So probably the first thing we want to do is to override this attribute and specify we want to use a different mode, which is random pop tool. And just to make sure this works properly, I'm going to override the positions as well. And I'm going to provide a target which is here. So let's say, okay, I want all my characters to go at x0. So here, 1000 in y and 0 in z. And say I want to override those attributes. And the next time I throw the sum, I've got all my characters converging to that point. Great. So far, so good. Next step is I would like to use those mesh vertices to control my actual position for my characters. I'm not really sure how many vertices this mesh has, but I want each character to pick a vertex. So I'm going to go into my scene blueprint, and I'm going to drag and drop some nodes taking advantage of the GDA to do this. So probably the first thing I want to do is to get my zone here and make a reference to it. And I'd like to get the static mesh component, so it will allow me to get access to my vertices. So this is some Unreal stuff here. So I'm having the static mesh component, and what I want to have now is the actual static mesh here. Get the static mesh. Great. Within Unreal, there's something which is called a get section from static mesh. So and it allows to fetch any attribute of your mesh. It can be vertices, triangles, normals, UVs. So here in my example, I actually want to have my vertices being taken into account. So this is what I'm going to use afterwards. Okay, so that's the part to fetching the different mesh vertices attribute. We're kind of good with this. Let's sort this properly. So next, what we want to do is to be able to control that actual in target position stuff. So within Golem, we've been providing some specific node. So let's see if I go within GDA. As always, I need to bring my simulation first within the scene. So let's create a reference to my Golem simulation node. And from here, what I want to do is to find a specific GDA property. So I'm going to start writing GDA, and with the context sensitive menu, I can see that I've got something called find GDA property by short name. So that means that here within our GDA file, we can fetch any attribute, and the attribute we want to have obviously is be go to target shape in target position. So I'm going to copy this, say this is the short name attribute I want to provide. And what will be returned here will be a kind of container which contain my attributes. So I'd like that container. Let me sort this so I've got more room. So this is the event tick. I don't really care with that one so far. I just want to have the begin play here. And I probably want to start doing some stuff with it. Great. And let's move those slightly down. Great. So yeah, here it just returns kind of a link to my attribute. So I want to specify to Unreal what kind of specific attribute it is. So those are in target positions. So let's check, and you can see it's an array of elements. My elements are data type distance. Distance also means within Golem it's a vector free. So the value here is a vector free array. So I'd like to go into my blueprint here and now say I want to cast convert that actual pointer to something which is an actual Golem digital vector, Golem digital asset vector. So I can type again GDA, and from the GDA I can see I can cast to a float, int32, int64, a mesh, and string, a vector free property or a vector full property. You may have guessed what I want to use here is vector free property. So that's great, awesome. I can also have like a, a kind of example which will be triggered if the cast failed. If for some reason you haven't converted into the right file format, you can also fetch this if you'd like to. Great, and what we want to have is so this is a vector free property that we want to get the value from. So I'm gonna drag and drop here, and once again I'll type GDA, and what I want to fetch is the value. So each property, so this is my GDA attribute here. Each GDA has a value, a short name, a full name, a dimension, some size, blah blah blah, data type. So what I want to read is the actual value here. So I want to fetch the value from my property, which is a compound of multiple stuff. So here I want to type again get GDA. You can see you can get the override, the data type, the array size, and so on and so forth. So what I want to do is get the value. And now I end up with an actual array that I'll be able to override with some mesh component here. So probably it's time to get the section from my static mesh as well. And what we'll do is here we've got a vertex list. Here we've got an array list, and the kind of node we can we can use from within Unreal is the set array element. And the set array element, you can see, takes an index, takes an item, so we need to loop through all the data that we have, through all the vertices that we have. So we're going to use a for each, which is once again an Unreal node here. And the for each will iterate through every single entry and provide the actual element. So we're going to say, okay, do a for each mesh vertex loop, provide me the element. So the element will be plugged into the item here. The index will be that index there. And the target array I want to use here will be my target pupil positions. I also want to check the size to feet. Right now my target is just one element. By checking this checkbox, it allows Unreal to automatically increase the size of that array. So you know, if here we've got 25 or more vertices, that array will be expanded properly. And I've got the feeling that we're missing something, but still, let's execute this and see what's going on there and what's the result of this. And yay! So we've got the characters doing something else, which is nice, but it looks like they are, you know, kind of not taking into account the actual position of the plane here. And the reason for this is because when you fetch the data from here, it provides you the data in the local mesh coordinate axis. So here it doesn't take into account the fact that the mesh is placed into the environment, that mesh as an actual transform. So we want to fetch that transform and add it to the array element position. So oops, it's not exactly what I want to do here. So let's expand this slightly, and we're gonna bring from say it's probably let me think about it. Yeah, from the actual here we go. From the actual zone here, we want to get the actor location. So I think we've got something called get actor. Get actor. Oops. Get actor location. Yeah, that's it. So that one will provide us with the actual word position of my node. So what we just need to do is take every vertex and just add that actor location to those. So I'm gonna once again bring an arrow, press add. What I want to do is do a vector plus vector operation. So I want to take the actor location, I want to take my index here, I want to add to each other, and I want to provide this as an item. So let me try checking if everything is proper now. I think so. Let's compile this to see if that's fine, and let's play now. And here we go. Now we've got our character converging to the right vertex position. So this is going to be done when the simulation starts, because we're using the begin event play. But if your mesh was animated, feel free to use the event tick, or feel free to use another event to connect this. So this will be propagate. Those position will be propagated constantly into the system, so Golem will update itself. Also, if your simulation is dynamic, don't forget to either say it's dynamic or expose that attribute within Unreal and override it with a value of true. So Golem will fetch and refresh automatically its target mode. So this is just one example of what you can do. You probably figured that you've got plenty of cast you can do depending on the attribute. You can fetch the value as well. You can fetch the type. So there's plenty of different nodes that you can play with, and you can find. Don't forget that you can use the find GDA property by short name to isolate within your Golem digital asset file what you want to have. So hopefully that makes sense, and see you into the next video.